In less than 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how to take your guitar parts from this to this. Even though I'm using contact instruments, you can do this with any guitar sounds, and actually almost any sound, in FL Studio. So check this out. First, we get a guitar. Now, all we're going to be using are two techniques. The two techniques are vibrato and bends, and as you'll see in a moment, they're actually closely connected. Now, we're going to start off with a gentle note like this. Ah, how sweet sounding. Now what you need is you need this piano roll pulled up for yourself, and then down here you're going to see there's this little arrow. You can pull this up. You're going to reveal this control panel. Now we're going to click control. We're going to click channel pitch. Now's the fun part. Let's start with vibrato. For vibrato, we're going to draw with a right click of the mouse little triangles. I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to click where we want the vibrato to end, and then we're going to come forward, and then we're going to come up a little bit. That's going to create a triangle. And in the top left-hand corner of my screen, I'm looking at the number of cents that it's going up. Right now we're about plus 32, now plus 36 cents. We want it to be between 30 to 50. You can do about 20. You won't really hear 20 quite so well. So make it between 30 and 50 cents. And if you're wondering what a cent is, 100 cents is a half step, 200 cents is a whole step, 300 cents is a minor third, and 50 cents would be half of a half step, aka a quarter step or a quarter tone. All right, so here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw in a couple triangles here like this. Boom, boom, boom. Now over here you can see this is starting to sneak up here, and if I mouse over this in the top left-hand corner, you see that's plus 4 cents. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to click. There we go. Get it down to 0 cents. Boom, boom, boom. Click everything, and what I can do is I can hold down Shift, click, and drag, and now I've got everything else down to 0 cents. Now let's listen to this. Oh, that's different. Now that vibrato might be a little fast, and actually, you know, as a guitar player, I'd say I probably wouldn't be starting vibrato right off the bat like that. So there we go. Not that that was the most amazing vibrato ever, but it works. So again, left to right, and then come up a little bit. So again, I'm clicking, dragging to the left, and coming up just a little bit to create these little... That's how you create vibrato. Now vibrato, you can do fast, you can do slow. This is pretty fast. We can also do like a slower vibrato, where we make the triangles a little larger. Radically different sound, versus a ba. So thinking about how close together your vibratos are, that'll be the ba wah wah, how many wah wah wahs there are, and then how high or how low they are, it's gonna be how noticeable the wah 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 wahs are compared to the regular note. Now, let's take this to the next level. Let's add in some bends. And before we do that, let's get a little bit more sustain on this. So I'm actually going to pull up this acoustic guitar, and we're going to do some gnarly things to it. We're going to put on an Ibanez tube screamer here. We're going to put on, let's get me a Marshall amp for a solo with the gain all the way up, the master all the way down. Now let's listen to this. Oh, not the master all the way down, just down a little bit. Duh. All right, now we've got some sustain happening. Let's go create some bends. So for a bend, what we want to do is we want to go up 100 cents for a half step, sustain for some time, and come back down. That'll get us an unbent to bent to not bent. Now for bends, there's really 4 choices we have, and these 4 choices are broken up in 2 steps. So the first choice we have is, do we want to go from low to high for a bend, or from high to low for a bend? From low to high, that's an unbent note going to a higher note, generally speaking. And then from higher to lower, that's a pre-bent note where the note is already under tension from the guitar. So the guitar strikes it and then releases that tension to bring the note from high to low. That's the first choice that we're going to look at in just a moment. Now the second choice is, after I've bent up, do I want to bend up again, or do I want to bend down, or do I want to stay there on the bend? And if we've bent from high to low, do we want to then bend back up, bend down again, or stay there? These are the 2 stages of choices we have when thinking about programming in guitar bends. So let's start off with a half step bend. So I'm going to, again, do like a slightly larger area than I was doing for the triangles. I'm going to come almost straight up here, but not quite. And I'm looking in the top left-hand corner. Oh, I way overshot that. That's 196. All right, we're going to come back down. I'm actually going to restart this. So when I restart, I just Control Z or Command Z on my keyboard. All right, so again, drawing to left, and I'm going to go up to about 100. Oh, overshot. There's the 100. Now I'm going to hold down shift and drag to the right. That's going to keep it locked in at 100. Let's listen to that. Cool stuff. I'm actually going to program it in a little earlier so we can hear it right away. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, drag for a slightly larger area than I did for the triangles. And I'm going to go up and I'm going to watch in my left-hand corner. I'm going to watch that little helper screen until it says 100. I don't want to, there it goes 100. I'm going to hold down shift. I'm going to drag to the right and leave it so there's a little bit of an angle on both sides here. And that gets us a half step bend. Now, if we want to change this angle and make it a little longer, it'll take longer for it to come down. And if you let it drop, it'll sound like it drops. So right here you can see we've got this clear drop here. You can hear it just flips out. So that's why we want it to get that clean bend sound. We want it going all the way down. All right, that's bending up a half step. Now let's bend up a whole step. So again, similar thing here. I'm just gonna clear this out. All right, we're gonna go up now to 200, just under 200 cents. What I've found is that this instrument gets a little jumpy over 200, so we're gonna leave it right at 200. Let's listen to that. All right, now that's your half step, that's your whole step bend. Now what about pre-bending? So we're going from high to low. Well, what I like to do for that is I'm gonna go up here to 100 cents. In fact, an easy, really easy way to do it, hold down shift, and then you can actually just, there you go, drag this back and forth. So at 140, 95, 101, that'll do. All right, so that's a pre-bend, and then it's gonna come down to 0. Let's listen to that. There you go, so that's a pre-bend coming down. That's our first decision. Do we wanna start from low going to high or high going to low? And both will work out differently, get you different sounds in different contexts. Now, what do we do afterwards? Well, let's look at 3 choices. So we bend up again, we bend up, we stay, and we bend up and bend down. So we're gonna bend up, we're gonna do a half step here. We're gonna do kind of like a wiggly woggly half step, like a beginner guitarist. All right, now we're gonna bend up again. We're gonna come down a little bit before we bend it up again. We'll go back to 199. Right on the money for 200. Boom. And then coming down. Listen to that. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Cool stuff. Now we can decrease this like valley here. There you go. And that would be a bend to another bend. All right, now, what happens if we bend and we stay there? Here's what might be a cool thing to do. Remember how we did vibrato before? Let's do vibrato here on top of this bent note. So let's draw some triangles here. Boom, 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 boom. Let's listen to that. Yeah, not too pleasant sounding, but if you dial it in, let's do it a little bit faster. That adds a little bit more attitude to it. So it's all about dialing in and seeing how often you want those vibratos and how tall you want them. Now, what happens if we bend and then go back down? So here we bent up and now let's come back down. What do we want to do now? Well, we could bend up again. We could bend down. We'd stay here. We could have some vibrato down here just for kicks. So let's actually break down the example I did at the start here. So what do you have? First we have it bending down. So it's like it's pre-bent for a moment and then bow, it comes back up. And right there we have the but there's this little bend here that catches this right at the end. We have a pre-bend here that comes down, and then here we're gonna bend up a whole step and then come to a new note, directly bend down a whole step. And then at the end we bend up a whole step, bend up to it again, and then vibrato. Let's listen to it one time. If you're a gamer who wants to compose your own music, here's a free starter pack you can download. It'll help you start creating your first music. If you want to learn more about writing melodies, that's going to be right over here. And if you want to just figure out more about music and understand more about what's what, start with this course over here. I made it just for you. So there you go. Starter pack, melodies, course. Go ahead, take your pick. I will see you in the next lesson.